This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Avast me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is me first mate and ski-rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz, once again. Oh, goodness. Tonight's episode, Agent Carter, Season 2, Episode 5, The Atomic Job. As Jarvis's precision and quick-thinking skills are put to the ultimate test, Peggy must find a way to stop an atomic explosion that threatens to destroy all of California. Our director this week is Craig Zisk. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, of course, get those based on Marvel Comics by credits. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely are getting our created bys. Lindsay Allen gets our written by this week, and hardest working woman in show business, our executive story editor is Sue Chung. Okay. Oh, this is a fun episode. I like there's a nice parallel between the first scene and the last scene with Dr. Wilkes, but in the first scene, we have him waking up Peggy, and she draws her gun and puts it through his head. Doesn't shoot him, but just, and then, makes the comment like, oh, I almost shot Howard, referring to the picture of Howard because I couldn't really shoot him. But that was interesting. And he is playing with the sample, the tissue sample they got from
the dead girl, right?
The dead girl, yeah, the lady in the lake. And he is able to pull on the zero matter that's in it, pull it out of it, and then all of a sudden it jumps into him and he becomes momentarily tangible. And they realize that maybe if they get the rest of the material, they can make him fully tangible. So they do come up with the brilliant scheme to go steal the body from the lady of the lake, and they did find out where it is being held. I forget how they found out where it was being held.
It just appeared to him after the zero matter got into him. He suddenly had like an intrinsic, innate knowledge of where it was. Right. Because the zero matter wanted to connect back to its source, I imagine, right? Exactly.
Yes, that's what happened. And they find out it's at the LA County Cold Storage. And they sneak into it with Jarvis and realize
that Jarvis hates spiders.
Oh yes, Jarvis hates a lot of things. But they realize as they get to the body that they also get there just a little bit too late. Because there is Whitney Frost already there, already sucking all the zero matter out of the body.
Well, I also imagine she had a lot more zero matter in her, so the pull towards it must have been greater, and she must have known of this location earlier as well, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. I get the feeling that she. Well, I think, and it's because I think it's sort of like, well, yes, she knew about it and she knew she could access it, but I don't think it was as desperate of a thing for her until just now while she's making her plan to make her move. And she does pull on the energy, and they realize that, okay, they got there too late. They likewise come to Then, of course, after that, Whitney, of course, is not satisfied with just getting that. She realizes that she needs, to just shoot off another atomic bomb to essentially reopen the rift and get the zero matter again from its source, which is kind of a short-sighted idea, I think.
Yeah, but she's in the throes of addiction, so that's how I interpreted it. She's really not thinking right. The only thing that matters is this insatiable need to, and it's not even her own need. It's the the entity in her that wants more of itself, and maybe it's not even an entity. Maybe just like in the beginning of life, RNA decided to couple together, and then lipids decided to form a wall around it. These are just naturally things that are drawn to each other, or dynamics that are drawn to each other.
Yeah, and in this moment, it's interesting because we do have the two parallel quests. Whitney wants to get access to the bomb, and goes to Mr. Manfredi for muscle, which is an interesting turn. The Manfredis, of course, for those who are, though this is not Sylvester Manfredi, also known as Silvermane. The Manfredi crime family is a Magia family in the Marvel Universe that is well recognized, and that often are a pain to Spider-Man. So it's a nice little shout out to them, and to have Manfredi here establish himself as the kind of lovesick puppy dog to Whitney Frost. I thought was an interesting, a psychotic lovesick puppy dog.
Right.
But lovesick puppy dog nonetheless. And I thought that made for a very interesting dynamic, especially, man, poor Chadwick. He is so out of his depth. Just so out of his depth on every single level. And, but he's going along with this. Now, I can't remember, do they get access to the facility, or are they breaking in as well? Because they don't know where the bomb is held.
No, so yeah, I think they break into the facility the same way Jarvis and Peggy Carter break into the facility, yeah. And the same thing. Oh, they just got here. They were here before us, yes. Because they find the guards have already been subdued.
That's right. And prior to this, we get a very nice bit with Peggy. Basically, you have Peggy and Sousa, and they have to sort of determine, their best routes to get in this, and they realize that there's no one they can trust. They know that, and they decide to bring in.
Is that this episode? That's the next one, isn't it?
No, that's this one.
Oh,
no,
wow.
She's actually kind of annoyed me when I realized that, because I'm watching it and I kind of thought, oh wait, isn't she in like multiple episodes? And no, she's just they dump her the next episode. Rose, yes, Leslie Boone, who's awesome as Rose, yes, and Dr. Samber Lee.
At least they did make her quite an awesome character though.
Yes, and I remember when this came out, and everyone, that's sort of the differences when you watch these like week to week, and you get the big payoff with Rose in this, and it's like, yes, Rose is awesome. And I can't remember if we see her again before the end of it. There are only 4 episodes after the 2 we're doing tonight, so we're in 2 more weeks. We should be done with this, and then we start The Boys. Coming soon to a theater near you.
Yeah, but guess who's not? Me, because theaters aren't open here yet.
Yeah. But, fortunately it's on Amazon, so you don't even have to leave it's a home theater. But
I am going to go to Jersey to see Tenet, though. I am excited about that.
Oh, well, good. Yeah, I hear great things about it. Lilith is very excited about it, so... although Lilith doesn't pay to go see movies, so she lives the life of the high seas. But anyway,
fair enough.
moving right along. But yeah, so they get Rose to help them out, and then they realize, because they know that Roxxon has these things, and they know that, of course, Howard has extensive corporate espionage on Roxxon, but that there's even some things that even he can't get access to. But they do know that there is a key that
all the council members have.
Oh, does it all the council members, or was it just Hugh Jones? I thought only Hugh Jones.
I imagine all the because in order to get up there, you need that key, so all of them has to have it. But he's the one they're most familiar with, or familiar with the layout too. So that's why I thought they chose him.
Yeah. Well, actually, I kind of got I thought maybe because it does seem odd that the other people were able to access it too. So I have to imagine that maybe Chadwick had his own key.
Maybe Chadwick didn't, but the other senior members, and he did not look like the most senior member there.
No, he is very junior. He is not on council. And in fact, I don't even think he has a chair there. In fact, because every time we see him in the room, we see that he is standing. He is never sitting at the table. So yeah, but anyway, so we get this neat thing because they do know that Hugh Jones does know Peggy, so they don't want her to spot him, and they give her essentially what is a portable electroshock device to essentially delete the last the last 5 minutes of your memory, or last 10 minutes of your memory.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
That's why she needs to go overboard.
Yes, because that actually, and I do believe that actually does work, that when you get electroshock therapy, like the last 2 minutes of your life is actually sort of like deleted.
Wow.
Well, you're getting electroshock, so you really want to remember that?
That's also true.
Yeah, so she goes in as the secretary to be, and of course, they have all the pretty secretaries that get hired at the location, and she relieves the first girl, and then Hugh Jones, of course, does not recognize her at first as she walks out. But as he's walking out, he goes, "Agent," because the first time they met, Peggy Carter said that her name was Agent, which is a classic gag, going all the way back to the first Avengers. And of course, she shocks him. Then she starts searching his body for it, and he keeps on waking up, and shocks him again, and wackiness ensues. And of course, by the end of it, she gets the key, is leaving, and he's stumbling out with his pants, undone and his shirt untucked. And he says, "I think I had a great lunch."
It's the only conclusion one can come to when you're in that position, I guess.
I guess it makes sense from his perspective.
Maybe.
But it was, it's a funny slapstick routine, and I like when she gives him the extra shock just for good measure.
Yeah, she took it a little, even though they told her there was a pretty significant danger of significant brain damage. Didn't really seem to phase her at all. He's a bad guy anyway, right?
Yeah, well, and for what it's worth, the one guy they mentioned about it, he was fully functional.
Yeah, running into walls.
Well, we don't know if he, he's a scientist. He might have been running into walls beforehand. We don't know that was a direct result. I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
The guy could walk into walls. I walk into walls all the time, so I'm not assuming that's a side effect. It was funny comedically, but but they obviously still felt he was fine enough to still work in the lab. So it's not like he was, he was having excessive problems.
Yeah, but look at what they use him for in the lab. He was the guinea pig.
Well, yeah.
So he was really good at that job.
Well, hey, someone's got to be.
Although then maybe that points to maybe he was hired for that purpose, and maybe he was bouncing on the walls to begin with, and that's why they felt safe testing him.
And that's my point.
I can see that. I'm
just saying we don't know the backstory.
Yeah.
I prefer the less sad backstory. But But they do get the key. They plan their heist, and of course, as we've said, Manfredi's men have gotten Whitney Frost in there before them, but they don't know where to look for it, which I thought was an interesting thing. Is that they could get in, but then they were like, "Well, we don't know where to go." And of course, this is where Samberly comes in, and this nice interaction between Rose and Samberly.
I love that. I couldn't tell if she was really good at playing him, or maybe there was something there, or she was just so hip and so cool that she had him at arm's length just for strategic purposes, just because she is really so good at being a field agent, shows her aptitude in that respect, or whether maybe there is something between them.
I mean, I think it's maybe a little from column A or a little from column B. Although I think it was mostly. I actually do think it was mostly her being the femme fatale to him,
right?
And
right,
knowing
right.
that anyone that smiles at him, especially if he feels he has a shot, which he might see through Peggy suddenly turning on the charm.
Ooh.
But he's not going to suspect Rose.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, he is a scientist, and he knows from experimental data that usually when someone like Peggy comes up to him, it's probably because they want something.
Yeah, that's why they needed to bring pie.
Yes, exactly, and that's what it opens up. Oh, you liked my pie, which I like my pie, my warm apple pie. There you go. That is what I think WAP stands for.
Yeah, that one was for Phil.
Yes, but and also Samberly wants to go on an adventure too,
right.
Which makes it kind of a fun little ragtag group. Although, man, Samberly makes you really appreciate Fitz and Simmons. It's just he is. I mean, I'm sure he's brilliant in his own right, but he is not Fitz. He is definitely. And I don't mean this in any way a bad way, but definitely civil servant grade.
Right.
And here's what I'll say. I will not deny that he probably did turn down a lot of offers and chose to be at the SSR and is doing great work with them. But at the same time, he is probably best in a lab, and having to think on his feet is probably not his forte. But he does, for what it's worth, tell them exactly what room the bombs are probably kept in, and turns off the alarms, although accidentally opens all the doors when he does that. And then basically accidentally locks Jarvis into the room with Sousa on the other side, because Sousa is the guy who knows how to defuse the bomb. And as wackiness ensues. And they make the and I loved the statement that just like taking a souffle out of the oven, which likewise is a very
delicate thing, yeah, for sure.
But what I liked about it was that at no time is Jarvis accepting that statement. It's like, this is nothing like taking a souffle out of the oven. But they managed to get the uranium from the bombs and move them out so that the bombs are effectively useless to Whitney, which is the whole point. Is they know Whitney needs the bombs, and they know that if Whitney gets the uranium, that's going to be problematic. As it stands, when they get out, Peggy has to stay behind to basically slow down Whitney Frost, so that they can get away. And that gets us to what is the big dramatic ending of this episode, which is, it's actually kind of cool because, we see them fight. We see Whitney try to use her Dark Force powers, but I guess she's can't quite get them to the point where she can just engulf her the way she engulfs others later.
And I think the main difference in my view was that the other producer guy that she, did this to was so shocked at the onset of what was happening that he wasn't capable of doing anything about it. Now, Peggy is, a pretty sharp weapon. She's encountered stressful situations, so it didn't phase her. So it was like she had the wherewithal to say, I need to do something to get out of this situation. She wasn't crippled by shock, and that's what was the difference between her and the other dude that didn't know what to do.
Yeah, but of course, even that does not save her because she literally gets pushed off the thing and falls onto rebar. And that was just crazy. And I'm just thinking about it, still makes me cringe because
like when they first did that scene and they cut close to her and you see all the rebar around her, I was like, man, she got lucky. They're all around her in perfect arrangement, woohoo! And then all of a sudden you see, oh boy, there goes her liver. But luckily that was fine.
Luckily that was fine, and that's the end of the episode, right? Because they go to the nurse next episode.
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, they do go to the nurse this episode.
Oh, right.
Right, because we have to get to the final scene with books that I said, the bookend about it. Oh, and actually,
and Sousa and his fiancée.
Yes, because we actually jumped over Sousa and Jenny. It's Jenny, right? I believe her name is Jenny.
I'll go with it. I don't recall.
Or maybe Violet?
Violet sounds
okay.
more right.
Yeah, there's a Violet there, so I'm guessing that's Sarah Bolger. I wonder if she's in relation to Ray Bolger. But anyway, so of course we open up earlier in this episode with Violet coming home from a long shift as a nurse, and she finds her door unlocked, so she gets her baseball bat. She's ready to attack some attackers, and then she sees a nice dinner made and Sousa asleep on the couch, and then they get this very funny, cute, awkward thing where Sousa basically accidentally proposes because he lets it out that, I'm looking for the ring that I was going to propose to you, and this is not how I want to do it. And she's like, yes, let's get married and let's find that ring. And that's a great setup. In fact, I think later we get a whole scene with him with the guys back at the office, and they're all toasting him and yada, yada, yada. And then, Peggy walks in and she's like, congratulations. It's all very happy. But then, as she's patching up Peggy after the fact, she sees Sousa and Peggy's interaction, and she kind of gets this sense that there's something going on between them, that Sousa has this torch for her, which, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It seemed a little abrupt of a conclusion to jump to, given that he just asked you to marry him.
Yeah, but, and I get the idea that, you don't want to be someone's second choice. But, not for nothing, and maybe this is a 40s thing, but it's like, he had a life before you, and he still has feelings for this person.
But he's making the choice.
Exactly, and I think that should have value, but I guess maybe the idea is that she feels that there's stuff that Sousa hasn't dealt with, that he's sort of running away from these problems, and she even makes this point to him, which is that, when you came here, you said you just came out here for a transfer. You didn't say you were running from something. And she's like, I can tell you're running from something, and you need to deal with it. And I think she even makes that point that he needs to deal with what this issue is with him and Peggy before she can allow herself to be married to him. Because, I think she needs to know that he's worked out whatever it was.
Right.
That it wasn't this, because, and it's sort of one of these things where they may have a perfectly platonic relationship, but she also, she sees the danger Peggy puts herself in, and she's probably thinking, is he just going to spend his whole life chasing after her every time she calls? He's going to be there to put his life on the line for her, you know? Which, you know, and granted, yeah, he's an SSR agent. He's probably going to be putting his life on the line regardless. But, you know, this idea that this person who has a habit of acting extrajudiciously, you know, outside of the law and outside of even the rules, you know, that there's a lot more danger that she could put everyone into, and which she does, you know, no ifs, ands, buts, or coconuts.
And her perception isn't off.
Yeah,
she's not wrong about it either, and she's a valid point to make.
Yeah, so I think it makes for an interesting variation on it, and one that clearly is weighing on the story, you know. But that is something between Sousa and Violet, and you know, for all of its weight and all of its difficulty, you know, it's something that Sousa is going to confront Peggy with in the next episode. Our final scene this episode is Peggy and Wilkes, as Peggy is recuperating in bed, and Wilkes essentially blinks out. And you know, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, did the stuff wear off again? Does he need another dose? What is this?" And that is the question they leave us at the end of this episode. And you know, I mean, it's an exciting episode. It always is an exciting episode. You know, I loved Rose kicking butt. You know, I love Samberly as kind of the absent-minded professor, and you know, having his moments to actually show his own capabilities without, you know, while also not making him overperform. Recognizing that, you know, sort of like they do with Jarvis from time to time, where Jarvis will show you that he can do his job, but will also remind you, but this is not his day job. You know?
Right.
And I do appreciate that in any of these stories. And Whitney Frost's, you know, continuing process of becoming unhinged is exciting. And actually, this was the other scene that we get in this, which is her final scene with Chadwick, where, you know, Chadwick is saying he's not going to do this, and he's not going to go back to Hugh Jones, and yada yada yada. And then we see him at the very end calling to make arrangements with the council. And that is what we get to see in the next episode. Do you have any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
I think we got to it all.
Yeah, we got to a lot, and it's an exciting episode. This is halfway through. There are 10 episodes this season, and so this is the official halfway mark on Agent Carter Season 2, the final season.
When they first said they needed, like, you know, a pretty face or somebody that could mix with the hoi polloi, my immediate thought was they were going to think, oh, we need Thompson. Somehow we need to get Thompson on our side. That's who I thought they were going to use.
Oh, in the next episode?
Yeah.
Well, it's an although as we see in next episode, Thompson, he's kind of in the thick of it, you know, and that's half the problem.
But I guess it is true to his character, you know, that old story of his wartime days. It still carries true. As much as he wants to change, his character is set in stone and defined. He will always be who he is, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the problem for him.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I don't want to talk too much about it now because we're going to talk about it in a minute. But yeah, it is just that reality that he is not who he presents himself to be, and lives in constant fear of that being revealed. And for what it's worth, you know, I think next episode we see that Red Foreman, you know, maybe getting some inklings of that. Kurtwood Smith, and I'm trying to remember what his character's name is.
Vern.
Vernon. Yeah, it's Vernon is his last name. Vernon. Is it something Vernon or Vernon something? Anyway, but yeah, he that's something we'll talk next week. In the meantime, Mozz. Well, actually, in the meantime, dear listeners, if you've enjoyed this episode and want to enjoy even more, I highly recommend you go over to tweakedaudio.com. That's tweakedaudio.com, where the coupon code Southgate will get you a discount on anything you purchase, and you will find there some of the finest audio equipment for your listening pleasure that you could ever hope to. Likewise, that Southgate coupon code can be used over at huntakiller.com, where Michelle Gray, Private Eye, is trying to crack a cold case and could use your help. It's like getting an escape room delivered to your home each week. And finally, if none of that interests you, but you still want to spend money on things, why not Amazon? And if you go down into our show notes, click on our Amazon link, that's going to take you through the power of cookies to Amazon, and they'll know you came from us, because you'll have our stink of cookies about you. And that's good. Costs you nothing, helps out the station, and while you're there, check out Pod Life, the book produced by the Southgate Media Group, written by the Southgate Media Group podcasters, and telling dozens of tales of joy and woe from the podcasting community. In the meantime, Mozz, if anyone would like to talk to you about any of these things, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzoor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzoor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Mozz and Poz once did, you can do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitters as I live tweet something at some point, someday. I don't know what. Nothing's on broadcast anymore. It's all streaming now. But if I ever do tweet, you can do so at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Mozz. All right, me hearties. You have endured another raucous night on the waves with Mozz and myself. Thank you for coming to Full Stream Ahead. Please join us again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arg.